Give me a little intro there, Gomer.
There's no turning back now.
Let's put on the show.
You're listening to the Station 71 podcast. My name is Mario, and this week I'm joined by my co-host,
Brian.
And Kirsten.
So we've got a trip report this week from Kirsten. We've got a couple little news articles to cover, and we're going to talk a lot about 50th, as if you haven't heard enough of that from us yet. So first thing on here, I had to throw this in here because we briefly kind of talked about this in our group chat today. There's a new 50th anniversary VIP tour that takes you between Magic Kingdom and Epcot. And the total price tag that you can expect to pay is $6,500 for this exclusive 50th anniversary VIP tour. So how do we feel about this one?
It's only $1,100 per person, technically.
Well,
Yeah,
when you break it down like that.
Honestly, like that's kind of when I was looking at it at first, I was like, okay, this is a lot. This seems outrageous. And then I looked at it, I was like, okay, it's 6 people for $6,500. It's not the worst. I mean, if you're going to do a VIP tour, do we know what the regular ones cost already? Because it may be like comparable to that.
I think it would be. I would think it would be comparable for if you're doing basically an all-day VIP tour. I can't remember. I think they start at like $400-$450 an hour.
Jeez.
I don't know. I'm not a math
Yeah.
major. I can't do that.
It also goes to Fort Wilderness too, Brian, to sweeten the pot for you.
I mean, that's cool, but there's a lot cheaper ways to go to Fort Wilderness.
You don't want to pay $1,100 to go to Fort Wilderness?
But
yeah,
don't
that'll
forget-
get you like.
But it says you'll see us select for your favorite attractions in a new light as we reveal some of our best behind-the-scenes secrets. So is that like you get some like backstage info? Like, because if it were like the Keys to the Kingdom tour, and I'll pass. If it were more like the backstage tour I got to go on of Haunted Mansion, like 100% worth it.
I mean, that would definitely be cool, but the price for me, it's still hard to swallow, even if you got to do that.
Really got to be one. It's got to be comparable to like you said, the VIP tour, but also like they have to do something special. Like you have to go through some secret line or something for me to be like, all right, this may even be slightly worth it. If I had the money to blow on it, absolutely. But this is still like we're not as rich as I'd like to believe I am. So next thing we've got on here is I threw this article in here just because I want to discuss this show overall. Have both of you looked at the Kite Tail stuff recently?
I just feel so
it's
bad. Like I want to love it because it looked like so cool, and it just seems like something fun and different. And they tried to like branch out, and like they're getting so much crap for it, and it seems like it's just doomed. And I hate it. Like I want it to succeed.
I keep thinking it's got to be like they tested this in either the wrong space, like they didn't account for maybe some kind of like wind direction in Animal Kingdom, or like one article I was reading says that the stands are actually where they're supposed to land them. So like it just doesn't seem like it was a fully thought out thing. It's not the worst thing that could have happened, but it sure is not the greatest thing.
I mean,
Everything
they look so
that happens.
Cool.
Yeah, I like the concept, but I'm convinced that anything that happens in this little pavilion thing at Animal Kingdom is just cursed. Like something inevitably goes wrong with every show they try to do here.
I
Do
just
we know
think
what was
that-
here before they built Animal Kingdom? Are they like on some hidden relic cursed
Indian
ground
burial
type
ground.
thing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly what happened, I'm sure.
I think that Bob
But-
Chapek just doesn't want to spend money, so he's sabotaging them. I'm
Well,
gonna
I don't know if it's that, but
Shh.
it's crazy. And the part that's like super weird to me is that this show, one, within the first couple days, some of their major kites already have ripped. It's already operated in what's considered a B mode, according to some of these articles I've seen, which is like, that's got to be almost a new record, right? Like this and Expedition Everest both have to be like in the top quickest to get to their B mode spot.
So A mode is the kites actually being in the air. B mode is them in the water,
In the stand.
trees. Yeah.
Well, it looked really
I
well in
think
person, and I'm rooting for it. That's all I have to say.
Before we jump off of this topic, I just have to like appreciate how horrible this picture is of the King Louis kite just face down into the water. I think that just summarizes everything that the show has gone through.
The one above it with his like mouth agape, he just looks dead. Like that one's more disturbing to me.
I mean, it is giving us like crime meme material with the whole flying, like the Soarin' flying song from High School Musical. Like, that's really been making my days brighter.
And then the last little bit of news that we have on here is that Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind has officially been delayed until 2022, which really isn't that much of a surprise. I feel like we all kind of saw this one coming.
No, if they were able to squeeze that in sometime this year, that would have been pretty incredible.
They gotta give people a reason.
I mean, we're so close to the end of the year anyway.
Besides just new
It's true.
50th merch they can fight about.
So that's going to wrap up our news this week. I guess I'm going to turn it over to Kirsten, who just got back from her trip specifically for the 50th.
Yes, this has been in the making for 10 years. As I've said before, I worked there during the 40th, not the actual 40th. I was a Spring Advantage program, so I left in the summer of 2011. But they had 40th merch. I actually wore my 40th t-shirt on my travel day as a tribute. And so yeah, two of my three roommates, sorry, Will was talking to me. Anyway, two of my three roommates were also there. One lives there now, and one actually lives in Dallas and came with her family as well. I was the only one who went into the park on the 50th because I'm the bravest of them all. And they totally should have because it wasn't that bad. And yeah, anyway. So this has been in the works for a long time. I booked our reservations like 11 months out to the day. We stayed at we stayed at Villas at Grand Floridian. So yeah, it was again me, Will, Eli, and my parents, our travel companions, and who I'm trying to get to love Disney. My dad has never been a big Disney fan, but I think Eli's slowly turning him. I think Eli has one more really cute visit in him before he kind of grows up a little too much, but we'll see. Anyway, we went Sunday to Saturday. So I was very concerned about the crowds, especially with the whole COVID situation. When we booked this, I had no idea like what it was going to be like. We all kind of assumed at that time, like, oh, COVID's going to be over. Haha, not really. And so we booked the week before, which I really think was the right choice, judging on what the crowd predictions were. I don't think it ended up mattering that much because crowds have been so low overall. It's been craziness. But I don't regret it. I wish that we had been there a little longer because so much stuff opened on the 1st, and I feel like I missed a few things, but we'll be back. But as many times as I tell myself we're going to take a break, it's probably not going to happen. Anyway, so Sunday we got there. Will and I checked into the Grand Floridian. We stayed in a 2-bedroom. We had a standard view, but I used the Touring Plans room finder to look at pictures from every actual room, and I sent in a room request for the exact room I wanted, and I got not that room, but one room down. So we had pretty much the best view you can get with a standard room. I highly recommend using Touring Plans to look at views for your options of rooms if you rent DVC, or I guess even regular hotel rooms, and I definitely recommend using them to send in your room request.
I did not know that you could do either one of those things, but that's very cool. And
oh yeah,
it's like the more I keep finding out about touring plans, the cooler they are.
Honestly, like I know for a while their big tip was like you could actually fax in a room request, and that's how they got them in. But Touring Plans having a dedicated service for something like that is top notch.
Yeah, I subscribed on a whim on our last trip in January of 2020 when the world was normal, and I renewed it. And honestly, even just that room request thing is well worth like the $15 or whatever, because you can technically request a room from the Disney website, but it's basically like upper floor or lower floor. And with Touring Plans, I put in literally the exact room number I wanted. I don't know how they do it, where they send it in, like what kind of connection they have, but it was way better than just saying upper floor. Because we did standard view because we're not made of money. And I did not want a parking lot view. And we didn't get a parking lot view. We had a great view of the little pond, like the little fountain thing in the pool. We could even see the fireworks from our balcony. We couldn't see the castle, but we could see the fireworks. So anyway.
Nice.
We got there, we went to Disney Springs. Our flight was delayed, and Eli delayed us a little more by having kind of a freak out in the airport. And then the Magic Express line was atrocious, which I was not expecting. So we got to Disney Springs too late for me to get Gideon's, which I was very sad about. And then my parents got there, and my plan had been like, oh, we're going to take the Skyliner. We're going to bus over to Riviera so we can see it and eat dinner at their quick service and take the Skyliner so Eli can do it. He'll think that's fun. But my dad was like, I'm hungry now. So I was like, okay, never mind. We'll just eat here. So we ate at the Polite Pig, which was fine. Like, whatever. You're going to see, actually, I forgot, because we got there early, and usually every time we arrive at Disney, we go to Disney Springs, I get Wolfgang Puck Express, I get my pasta that I love from there, and I get a Ghirardelli milkshake. Well, Wolfgang Puck Express is gone. So this whole week was like, I need pasta, and I couldn't find any good pasta. So when we first got to Grand, we actually went to their, like, the Gasparilla Grill, their quick service, and tried their, like, mac and cheese or whatever, and it was not good. I was very disappointed. So I didn't really eat anything. So for dinner, we went to Polite Pig, and, like, it was fine. Their mac and cheese was better. I shared it with Eli. It still wasn't as good as Wolfgang Puck Express.
I've heard a lot of good things about Polite Pig.
Yeah, it was good. Like, I mean, whatever. It was fine.
No Wolfgang Puck Express.
That's just like, well, I'm not a big, like, barbecue meat eater kind of person, so Eli and I split the kids' chicken strips and mac and cheese. And I was really disappointed because the kids' chicken strips literally came with 2 chicken strips. I mean, Eli doesn't eat much, but I was like, okay, really? This isn't, like, it was not a lot of food. So.
Yeah, I feel like any kid can eat 2 chicken strips. That's like.
Yeah, and they weren't especially large. So that was disappointing. Anyway, but I mean, the actual food was good. The chicken strips were really good. Anyway, and then we went and bought crap load of merch in World of Disney. I had money specifically set aside for this trip. Like, we're taking cash, and we're only spending cash on merchandise because it's so easy to just swipe that band.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, we're not doing that this time. We have a budget. And so we bought most things we wanted. We both got 50th Magic Bands, and I tried to get Eli some stuff, but everything I showed him, I was like, do you like this? He was like, no. So Eli didn't get anything.
Tough crowd.
And let's see. Oh, one good thing. This is just a great thing about Disney customer service that I love so much. Obviously, if you're a regular listener, you know Eli has dwarfism. He's 4. He's potty trained. At home, he has a stool because he's short, so he can't necessarily like reach very well to stand up in front of the toilet. And so I had asked our concierge when we checked in, like, hey, this is weird, but do you possibly have like a little step stool that you could give us, you know, for my son? And he was like, sure. And so they sent us a high chair, and I was like, nice try. Not quite what I needed. So I went back to concierge and I like went into more detail, and I was like, I know this is weird, but if like maintenance or somebody just has like a step stool, that would be really awesome. And they found one for us. And so I just felt like that was a really nice touch of like a strange thing that somebody would ask for. But, you know, that's like one of the few things that can't fit on the plane to help Eli, is a step stool. So, you know, that's just, I don't know, that's Disney customer service right there.
That is really good of them to go the extra mile to do that.
Yeah. It made our week a lot easier, for sure. So anyway, first day, Monday, Hollywood Studios, one of my favorite things that's ever happened to me. Obviously, I think we were there on like the third day of Rise of the Resistance being a standby line instead of virtual. So we weren't really sure like how everything was shaking out. And so I had told my parents, because my mom has not done Rise of the Resistance, not that she cares about Star Wars, but Will obviously wanted to do it again. And so I had told them, like, I don't really care about Rise of the Resistance. It's a great ride, but I got to get my drops in. So you 3 go to Rise of the Resistance, take Eli. You can do the rider swap so that Will could do it twice. I'm going to go to Tower of Terror. So we get there, and it's like crazy. There's people everywhere. They go off, huge line. The line wasn't too bad. I think that for the first time around, they ended up waiting about 40 minutes, which really isn't bad, you know, all things considered. I was like literally in the front row of, you know, the people waiting to get down Sunset Boulevard. There was like nobody. And it was really cute because it was one of the Tower cast members' birthday. So one of the other cast members had a kazoo, and as that cast member came down the street, he told us to all sing happy birthday, and he like got us in tune with the kazoo. So that was really cute. I have a video of it if y'all want me to put it on Instagram or something. I just thought it was really funny.
Yes, please.
You know, just another like little Disney thing. I don't know. It just reminded me kind of the old days when I felt like there was more Disney magic. Anyway, so they let us in. A bunch of people go to Tower. I get on, I think maybe the first elevator, and I'm with 3 other people. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. Like, you know, it's almost empty, whatever. And then I get off and I race back around the standby line. And this time am in an elevator with 5 other people. And I'm like, okay, it's getting more crowded, like lame. I ride it, I get off, I go back through the standby line, and I'm in the room, like the TV room, this cute, like the spiel room with like 5 other people. And I'm like, okay, well, this is good. So every time what happened is when you get out of that spiel room and you know you're in the basement, or like the boiler room, everybody would automatically turn right and go to that line because they could see the people waiting and see those elevators, and nobody would go straight to the second bank of elevators. And so both times I went straight because like I know how it works, and the people behind me would follow me and go straight also because they realized, oh, there's 2 lines, I don't have to turn. So the third time, nobody's behind me. I made sure I was the last one out of the TV room. So I was the only person to go straight. And so I get over there and she's just finishing loading another elevator. I'm standing there. She's like, 1, and I'm like, okay. And I go to, and she's like, you can sit anywhere. And I'm like, cool. And she's like, do you want an elevator to yourself? Because nobody was coming behind me. And I was like, I would love an elevator to myself. I haven't had an elevator to myself since 2011, which was when I was on my program. Me and my roommate got an elevator to ourselves, and I had that picture somewhere in a frame in my house. So I got to ride Tower of Terror all by myself. It was amazing. Definitely gonna print that picture and frame it. It was the highlight of my day.
Picture is fantastic.
It really is.
It was amazing. It was one of the highlights of my trips. It was awesome. Like,
You nailed the shot, by the way.
Yeah.
I was like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do?
That's gonna be stressful too. Like you're in an elevator by yourself. You have to nail the pose, and I think you knocked it out of the park.
I tried. I was like, okay, I have to be cool. I've got a mask on, so what can I can't smile. Like I can't.
I have to be cool.
I'm not. It doesn't come naturally for me, So anyway, yeah. So it was awesome. So after that ride, my roommate actually was coming up the street with her family, and I was like, okay, well, I'll go with y'all. So I went another time with her and her family, which was cool. And then I finally left after 4 rides, and we did. I went over and met Will and Eli and my parents, and we did some Toy Story stuff. Eli was tall enough for alien swirling saucers, which he loved. And yeah, Slinky Dog was down. And God, Toy Story, there's no shade. It is like hell on earth.
Oh, it's
No.
Awful.
yeah, it's brutal over there.
Yeah, it really was. And we waited till later in the afternoon to do Toy Story Mania because the line was long. But yeah, after getting an elevator to myself, the rest of the day was really downhill from there. And I feel like this whole trip was just kind of mediocre food. Like, I didn't have bad food, but it was just like, I don't know if I just didn't plan my dining reservations well, or if I don't know. I just feel like usually I'm like really enjoy my food, and most food this trip was just like whatever. Like I think I had chicken again with Eli for lunch. And
In all fairness, there's not really a lot of great places to eat at Hollywood Studios. Like I feel like we've said that so many times that it's just like Hollywood Studios kind of sucks for food.
Anyway, so we did all the big stuff, Rockin'. I did Tower again with my family 5 times in a day. It's a good day. Yeah. Then we went home, changed clothes, freshened up because we had dinner in space.
Oh, I'm so excited to hear about this.
Yeah, this was definitely like the highlight of like everything I had planned, because I was just excited for Eli to experience it, because when I tell you the kid's obsessed with space, like he is obsessed with space. He can tell you every planet. He can tell you what planets are Jovian and what planets are terrestrial, which I didn't even know what those terms were until him. He can tell you like what ice giants are made of, what gas giants are, like what the biggest planets are, what the smallest planets are, what the hottest planets are, what the coldest planets are. Like he loves hearing about exoplanets, which I also didn't know what they were until him. And like black holes, he can tell you what a black hole is. Like he loves space. His favorite YouTube video is about the tools that they use in space. Because you can't just use like a regular screwdriver in space or whatever, which is actually a pretty cool video by National Geographic. I've tried to find the interviewer on it to be like, hey, where is this tool place? Can my kid get a tour? But to no avail so far. Anyway. So I had told him like we're eating in space, and he's like, but it's pretend space, right? And I was like, no, we're eating in real space. So he knew this was coming. So you go in, like you check in, and you're waiting in the room, and they give you a little tag, like a little boarding ticket or whatever for your Stellar Vader. And you get in, and there's the video screens, and the bottom, the elevator is a circle, and there's the middle. You can't stand in the middle of the circle because it's well, it's a window, sorry. There's a window in the bottom and a window in the top. And so they open the windows and you see yourself like, go up 220 miles into space and you can feel it, it's not like totally like Star Tours level of feeling, but it definitely, there's some movement there that makes you feel like you're rising.
Okay.
And so you get to the top and they open the door. The cast members are super into it. Whether they'll always stay that into it, I guess remains to be seen. But right now they're definitely into it. And then you go through and you see like this hydroponic growing system, which y'all probably seen pictures of. And then you turn the corner and it's like that shot that you've all seen of just like the huge wide window that looks out over Earth. And so I was videoing Eli when we did that and I'm like, oh my God, Eli, what's that? And he's like, it's Earth. Like he was so proud. And so we sat down. The waitress, I don't think, was expecting questions about like, are we in orbit? How is there gravity? Yeah. The screens are super cool because it's definitely not like a 5-minute timer, of like the things coming back on the screens. It's very random of like, here's another like space shuttle and here's an astronaut floating by. And here's an astronaut with a dog astronaut, which was so cute. So it was very random, and we would see something and be like, oh my gosh, look, Eli, there's like a meteor. And so, yeah, it was very cool. I would say atmosphere 10 out of 10 for sure. The food was good, but it's also a prefix menu and it's $80 a person for adults. And that comes with an appetizer, an entree, and a dessert. And so I would definitely not pay $80 a head for that experience, like on a regular basis. If you have a kid who like loves space, it was worth it just to see him be like so excited and eat his space Getty and space cream. Yeah. If you're an adult who like loves space and wants to experience it, I would definitely try going the lounge route where you can just like go sit at one of the lounge tables. And I actually think the lounge tables probably have like almost a better view. You're not right next to the window, but you have like the overall view, which I think is really cool. So yeah, that's what I would, if it were me and I were going again, or somebody I was with wanted to go, I would say, let's, walk up and try to do the lounge. That's what I would suggest. Because $80 a head, I mean, that's a lot. And kids, I think Eli's was $30 for him to eat, 2 bites, which is totally, I can't believe, like, I was so annoyed, which I knew that would happen, right? I knew that would happen. But still, it's expensive. And it was good. I got the filet. I don't remember what everybody else got. We all enjoyed our food, but it wasn't like
Wasn't
the best
$80
meal I've ever
good?
had. Yeah, I mean, as far as food, it didn't touch Cali Grill. Let's
Okay.
say that. I did really love my dessert. I read a lot of reviews about the desserts, and everybody was saying, "Oh, the lemon mousse is like too strong, and the sticky toffee pudding is the best." So that's what I told Will because he loves like lemon desserts. So he got that, and my dad got the lemon thing, but they all said they liked the lemon best, which was interesting. But my family, like, we love lemon flavored everything, so maybe that's just us. I don't know. But I thought the chocolate mousse or the chocolate cheesecake was really good.
I've heard like really hit or miss things about all the food in general, so it's interesting that you're saying that like the food was good but not $80 good, and everybody kind of had different experiences with the dessert. Like that kind of tracks for what I've seen so far, which is interesting.
Yeah. And it could be just that they're, working out the kinks. I mean, it's a new restaurant, so, like maybe in a month and maybe they'll refine their menu. And also like I'm like a picky eater, so I'm fine with like, I mean, and my family, like we're from the South. My parents did not grow up like, eating really fancy or whatever. So we're all like happy with like simple meals, I guess, so we don't need like the people that are real foodies that go to Disney, like with their noses in the air, like that's totally not us, and we don't need that, like that kind of level of food. Anyway, it was definitely a 10 out of 10 experience, and I'm super glad that I got it before 45 for those reservations. And after that, I was actually really disappointed with this. I know obviously Eli cannot ride Mission Space, but I went up and I was like, hey, he's not, you can see the queue area, because they have that big round. I can't remember. And so I was like, I just walk him in there and show him that. And he was like, no, if you're not tall enough to ride, you can't go in the line. And I was like, okay. I mean, like,
Yeah.
He's definitely not even close. Okay, fine. So yeah, Tuesday, we went home and went to bed after that. The end. That's life with a 4-year-old. Tuesday, Magic Kingdom Day. We got there 30 minutes early, as usual, since we were staying on property. We were able to do Astro Orbiters, which I really love, but the line's always so long and it's not worth it to me. And Eli was scared at first, but then he loved it. He loved the People Mover, obviously. He better. Space Mountain, Buzz Lightyear. And then we had dinner really early because, like, reservations just weren't great. And so my parents got, like, breakfast sandwiches at Friar's Nook, I guess. And they were like, it was fun. I wouldn't wait for this again.
Okay.
And then I tried. I went to Sleepy Hollow because I've always heard about those like waffle sandwiches or whatever. And so I'm like, I'm going to get the strawberry waffle. And it was a huge fail because I love like just plain real strawberries. And it was actually a waffle covered in like strawberries, in that strawberry goo stuff, like when you get frozen strawberries and like that goo stuff that you put in like strawberry and like shortcake or angel food cake.
Oh man, I kind of like the goo.
Well, then you would like this, because I was like, well, I got it, and I was like, well, now I'm sad because I don't want to eat this. So I tried to scrape off all the goo and eat it, but it was a fail.
Yeah,
and the waffle was very crunchy.
So the sweet and spicy one's the better of the two. If I'd have to pick between them, but I can totally see how that would be like a letdown because it is just kind of like gooey strawberry gooped on top of a waffle that's all right, but it definitely like the sweet and spicy chicken one is a lot better.
Yeah, I was like, I should have just gotten a regular waffle. That's how I was feeling. So yeah, we did everything normal. Jungle Cruise. So we did this in the past. I mentioned it, like I talked about it last time, but not a ton. If anybody listening has questions, we get a pass for Eli's wheelchair called a stroller for Eli's stroller called a stroller as wheelchair pass. We don't need disability access services for him. Like he can wait in line fine. It's just more of a mobility issue for him where he gets tired. Super, super easy and super fast. And like he has hypermobile joints and etc. So this just makes it easier for all of us because he weighs 27 pounds and I can't carry him for that long anymore. And so most of the lines you can just go through with the stroller. And then towards the end or something, they'll take you to a separate place and you just leave the stroller and they'll put it by the exit for you. But Jungle Cruise, you actually get a return time, which is actually great because Jungle Cruise line is always long and it's hot. So you got a return time for that, which was cool. And they put it on your band. It's, almost like a fast pass and you just come back at that time. Or any time after that. You don't have a window. You can come back whenever. So we did see the new Jungle Cruise script, or what they've changed. I thought it was fine. I didn't even like. I've ridden Jungle Cruise a ton, but not so much that I like had specific memories of what was there versus what is there now. So I thought it was good, and our girl actually had some different jokes from what I've heard before, which I don't think was due to the whole them changing things. I think it was just like a new person. Maybe they spent quarantine thinking new jokes for the skippers. So yeah, I thought it was good. I was kind of sad that Trader Sam wasn't at the end with the whole head thing, but whatever. It wasn't that big of a deal.
Have you guys, not to derail this a little bit, but have you guys seen the Jungle Cruise yet?
Yes, I thought it was so cute. I love it. I hope they make another one.
I have not.
Okay, so not spoilery here, but with how the Jungle Cruise represents, like the movie Jungle Cruise represents that portion of the ride, after seeing it, I was a little confused as to why they removed it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think now.
Because I don't know if you want to like mute yourself for a couple seconds, Brian, or if you don't really care about the spoilers of the Jungle Cruise movie. But
Well, I don't think muting myself will help.
I'm not
me
muting myself,
hear.
but muting us.
Yeah. Send me a message because I need to watch it.
Yeah, just
Yeah, you do.
take your headphones off for like 2 seconds so I can say what I want to say real quick.
All right.
So Trader Sam is actually a character in the movie, and they are headhunters or he represents them as headhunters before we actually meet the people. So it's a little confusing that they removed it due to, like, I guess, racial issues, and then decided that they were going to actually put that in the movie.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I guess I hadn't really thought about that.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day, but that was all I had to say about that.
I can tell Brian to come back now.
Let me just message him, the chat and say.
Okay, I'm back.
No spoilers. It was super quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue your trip report, Kirsten.
Okay, and then I did get to go in the new confectionery, and I went in and I was like, when did y'all open? And they were like, oh, we're supposed to open tomorrow. This is a surprise. And I was like, nice. Y'all know I've always been really dedicated to my Rice Krispie treat covered with chocolate and M&Ms, but I have a new love, and it is the giant Mickey-shaped marshmallow that is dipped in chocolate and covered with mini M&Ms, and it is so good. If you like marshmallow like I like marshmallow, which is a lot, you should get it. It was delicious. I did get a sprinkle covered one in Animal Kingdom. I will say I prefer the mini M&M covered one, but that's just me. I like to maximize my chocolate in my desserts. We had dinner at Liberty Tree Tavern. It was really good. I enjoyed it. I haven't eaten there. We actually ended up eating there my very first trip when my parents literally knew nothing about Disney in like 2004. And I couldn't really find it or think of anything better to book. And I was like, sure, I'll try it again. I'd read some good reviews recently. I thought it was really good. It's just simple, like turkey, roast, mashed potatoes, green beans. It was great.
That's something good.
Like we're totally happy with that.
That's another one that gets like a lot of love. Really? Yeah, I've heard a lot of really good things about that one.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. So yeah, and then my parents went ahead and left, and we watched the almost final Happily Ever After with Eli. Y'all know my feelings on Happily Ever After, but I will say whenever the Moana part came on and he was like belting it out, that was really cute. It made me like feel something.
Did you almost think you're gonna miss it?
No. I was thinking, I love this, but also how sad is it that my child never gets to experience wishes?
Yeah, that checks out.
Very sad.
So Wednesday was our Animal Kingdom day, and we had to get there so early since we are resort guests. So we got there like before they opened so that we could rope drop flight of passage, which was great. The line was maybe 20 minutes. I don't know. That's definitely my dad's favorite ride. Probably one of my favorite rides too. It's just so good. And while we were doing rider swap, Eli found these binoculars in the gift shop there. Then my mom bought them for him. So after that, we went on the safari, which was perfect because he had his binoculars, and every time we would come up to an animal, he would be like, "Let me take a closer look," and like pick up his binoculars and look at the animal.
That is so cute.
And they actually worked too, so that was funny. Yeah. Let's see, Navi River Journey, which I haven't done since it opened. Eli did not like it. Eli does not like anything in the dark. He did not like it. He does not like anything in the dark. I have more on that on our next day. Festival of the Lion King. I miss the Tumble Monkeys, but I honestly, the one thing I hate about it is that like they didn't change the soundtrack enough, and so it doesn't make sense because Timon's like, they're ruining my song or whatever when like nothing's happening. Because the Tumble Monkeys aren't out there, like it doesn't make sense. But I miss my dream job, the bird girl. Like they dance, but she's not up on a rope flying around, which is very sad. But it was full. Like the theater, they may have been not cramming people in, but it was definitely a full theater. So yeah, it was nice to see it again. I can't wait till it comes back in its true form. Let's see. We did the Little Bird show that they do at the front of the park. I love that, where they have all the macaws fly in. If you're ever around for that, I say stop and watch. It's definitely cool to watch them at the end when they all fly off together. It's just like, I don't know, if you like animals, especially if you like birds, it's really fun to see. Let's see. And then when we walked over to Everest, we saw the very end of the Kite Tales preview happening. And we thought it looked really cool. Little did we know that, you know, they would have so many issues in the following week. But the adult Simba looked very majestic, I must say. Yeah, Everest was like a 5-minute wait. We did that. Then we walked over to that sad parking lot, aka Chester and Hester's.
How does that? I mean, I know you're not a fan of Chester and Hester's, kind of like I'm not. How does that feel with like everything being gone?
It feels literally sad, especially since the park is so not crowded. Like you walk around and it looks like, you know, like a regional carnival where you're like, I don't want to get on this ride. Like you're like, where are the carnies? Like, you know, I mean, especially since Primeval World was like half the track was gone, you know. It was just sad. Like I mean, I don't know. I get that like it's themed as it's, you know, but I'm like, nobody knows that except for people like us. And so normal people who just walk up are literally like, I'm sure it's not even a conscious thought, but it's like, what is happening over here? Like, I thought Disney was supposed to be good at decorating stuff. It sucks. If you're offended, I'm not sorry. I question your taste. Eli did love Triceratops Ben. So yeah. Oh, I will say also in Magic Kingdom, his favorite ride was Tomorrowland Speedway. Like my dad took him on it and I was like, oh, that's a bad idea.
Oh,
and then
no.
he wanted to do it again and again because he could drive, you know, and my dad kept being like, don't you want to drive your dad? Don't you want to drive your mom? And Eli was like, no, I want to drive you. And I was like, that's what you get because I'm not riding that car. So yeah, but Eli was like, the cars are awesome. And I'm like, wow, Eli, your taste is questionable. But okay. Anyway, yeah, Chester and Hester's is just awful. They've got to do something about that, you know. And like with it being like no people there, like there was literally nobody doing the carnival rides. The roller coaster's not working. You know, it's only Triceratops Ben. That's it.
That's crazy.
It's just awful. Yeah, we left pretty early. We were done at like 2:15. That's how I know I'm getting too old for this, because even Dinosaur, my friend didn't want to ride with me, and I was like, whatever, it's fine, I can go, even though I love Dinosaur. So yeah, I'm definitely showing my age. Anyway, so we left and we had another early dinner with like my 2 roommates and all of our families, which was great. We had it at Grand Floridian Cafe, and they seated us, like one huge table, which was another disappointing meal. This is just like the quest of like Kirsten trying to find some pasta and not finding any good pasta all week, because at Grand Floridian Cafe, I feel like it's a good standby. It's not super popular, but I think it's always been very consistent, and I've always enjoyed my food there. And they used to have a pasta on the menu that I loved, and I would get that every time. And they changed the menu and they took it off. So I got the Impossible Burger, but it had like caramelized onions and smoked Gouda, and I was like, can I just have a plain burger? And the girl was like, sure. So they brought it out and it had the onions on it, and I was like, ugh. And I was like, can I just have some mustard? And so they're like, yeah. And I was waiting, and everybody's eating their food, and they're like, they're trying to find the mustard. And I'm like, okay, well, that's weird, but I can go to Gasparilla and get some, like, at this rate. And they finally brought mustard, and then I should have checked the whole burger, but I didn't. So then I take off the bottom to put mustard on it, and it has this smoked Gouda on it. And I was like, oh, really? Like, I can eat some things, but not that.
Not a fan of smoked Gouda.
Like, well, no, and it wasn't like a piece where you could scrape it off. It was like, like it had been liquidy or whatever, and it was like, like soaked into the bun. So then I was like, hey, can I just have like a different bottom bun, because I didn't want this on here? And they're like, sure. And so then I'm like waiting, and they're like, oh, they're toasting another bun. And I'm like, I don't need it toasted. Just give me a freaking bottom piece of bread. Like they were taking away other people's plates at our table, and I still hadn't got my bottom bun. And so they brought me like a whole new toasted bun, and I was like, thank you. So I like shoveled my food in, and I was just like sad. I mean, it was a good, whatever, it was a burger, but it was sad and disappointing. So yeah, everybody else, like, I think half the people at the table got the chicken, and they thought it was amazing. So if anybody's going there, apparently the chicken's good. And if they mess up your order, prepare to wait for a long time. Yeah. After that, the kids went to bed, and all of the adults, well, I guess the adults my age, like the grandparents, took the kids to bed. And the people my age went over to Trader Sam's. And we actually got there at the perfect time. Will and his friend had gone over earlier, put our name on the list, since we had like 9 of us. And so they were sitting outside waiting, and we got there just in time to see Happily Ever After from the outdoor area of Trader Sam's. So that was nice. We had a crazy waiter at Trader Sam's. This is another thing where I was just like disappointed in the outdoor area, because I'm obviously very picky about my alcohol. And so they had a Moscato on the menu, and I asked him, is this a sparkling Moscato? And he's like, I don't know, I'll ask. And so he brings back this, and he's like, oh, this is Prosecco. And I'm like, okay, well, I wanted Moscato. And he's like, well, the Prosecco is sparkling. And I'm like, yeah, but I wanted to know if the Moscato was sparkling. And he's like, I don't know, they just said to give you the Prosecco. And I'm like, but I don't like Prosecco. Like,
such a weird experience.
We were not speaking the same language. And so he's like, well, do you want to try it? And I'm like, I mean, I guess. And so I tried it, and I didn't like it, because I knew I wouldn't like it, because I don't like Prosecco. And so another girl in our party was like, oh, I'll drink it. I'm like, okay, cool. So then I'm like, can I just get this Schweitzer Falls, which is a non-alcoholic drink, and, just have vodka in it, like whatever. And he's like, okay, well, do you want Tito's or something? I couldn't hear what else he said, but I'm like, Tito's. I'm from Texas. We drink Tito's, whatever. So he brings it out. And it was fine. And then whenever we got called right after the fireworks, and so he brings our bills, and he still charged us for the Prosecco. And I was like, you literally brought me something I didn't even ask for, and you bullied me into trying it, and I didn't like it, and you still charged me for it. Like, what?
Yeah, it's a little
That's pretty
weird.
crappy.
And I feel like that's super
Yeah,
strange.
so-
I haven't been to the outside portion of Trader Sam's, but I feel like I've been there enough and I've never had like a horrible experience.
I mean, he wasn't like rude. I was just there. He just like wasn't understanding what I was asking.
Yeah.
And so,
Well, and
we
you
get
kind of
inside.
expect that like it's a bar. They're gonna know those things though.
Yeah. Well, and I think maybe this is like he's known for not being great. I don't know if he's new, whatever. But we get inside and everybody else orders their drinks, and I brought that one with me, and it was getting like just super watered down. So I asked the waitress, and I'm like, "Can I have another one of these?" And she was funny. She's like, "Another one of what? Another half a cup of alcohol? I don't know what you have." Which it was like in a funny way.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, I just got like the Schweizer Falls with Tito's or whatever." And she's like, "Who gave you that? Because we don't have Tito's." And so Will told her our waiter's name. I don't want to like call him out.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Okay." And she's like, "I'll go see if they have it outside." And so she goes and she comes back. She's like, "Yeah, they don't have Tito's out there either." And I'm like, "Okay, I didn't even ask for Tito's." Like he literally said, "Do you want Tito's or blah, blah, blah?" So, and I said like Tito's, and I'm like, I didn't even request this. Why are you gonna lie to me and say that you like have something that you don't have? Like when I didn't
That's
even
really
ask.
funny actually.
That is one of the weirdest
Like,
waiter experiences I've heard.
It was bizarre, and so I was like, I don't really care what kind of vodka, like whatever. I wouldn't have cared. I would not have even thought to specify in the first place. So yeah, it was weird.
I mean, that's hysterical because, like, of all the places one to have a bad experience, Trader Sam's after we've been like, oh, Trader Sam's is the best bar on property. And then on top of that, it's like, that is just a straight up weird experience.
Yeah, it was very strange. But, you know, whatever. We had a good time. Will and his my roommate from the program, her husband and Will have like a total bromance thing, and so they split a Nautilus. You know, super cute, whatever. So yeah, it was fun. And then it was like 11, and I needed chocolate, so I got the mini Halloween cupcake, which is like a chocolate cupcake with cookies and cream inside, and it's covered in chocolate ganache, and it was very good. It was pretty
really good.
rich. Even I couldn't eat the whole thing in one sitting, and that's saying a lot. Yeah, I'm trying to go fast, but dang. Thursday, Epcot, we finally got to sleep in for once, which was amazing since they don't open till 11, and we even got there late for that. So we went to Frozen Ever After. Eli hated it. We had Via Napoli for lunch. So good. I actually forgot how big their pizzas were, and I was nervous because I was like, can we all split like a large? Because we weren't super hungry, and my dad wanted to eat some food and wine stuff. But the large says like 2 to 3 people, and I'm like, I don't know, is that enough? And then they brought it out, and it was like, it's definitely enough. And like, I've ordered a Mezzo Metro before on my program, and it says it's for 3 to 4 people. There's no way. Like, I'm pretty sure we had 6 full-grown adults when we ordered that, and we didn't even finish it. The pizza portions at Via Napoli are excessive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it was so good. We went to Creation Shops. I got some of my Epcot merch. They were out of the base and out of the shirt that Will wanted and out of some other stuff. So that was sad, but it's okay. I don't need it anyway. We went to the Seas. Eli thought Turtle Talk with Crush was the most amazing thing ever. He doesn't really understand like what a question is, so he'll always say, I got a question for you, and then he'll just tell you something. And so I had told him, like, you can ask Crush a question, maybe, you know, if you raise your hand. And so he's like, I'm going to tell Crush that my birthday is February 27th. Does he know that? And I'm like, well, that's not a question. So you think of a different question. But before the show, they have those 2 little tanks. And so there was an employee out there who was like, he's like, what kind of fish is that? What kind of fish is that? What kind of fish is that? And she would tell him what it was. And he's like, I've never seen one of those before, to everything. And so, but he loved Crush. And so Crush did, like, as soon as we got in there, as soon as Crush showed up, he was raising his hand immediately. Like, all he wanted to do was talk. I don't know where the child came from. He's not mine. And so he did ask Crush if turtles go really fast. And then Crush asked him, like, what's your favorite food? He said pizza, and Crush said, what does it taste like? And he said cheese, which everybody thought was funny. I don't know. So then we left.
I
And
don't know what the correct answer to that question is supposed to be.
What is it?
Yeah,
What does it taste like? I don't know. I mean, cheese, I guess, is a pretty good answer. I don't know. And then we went up to the actual aquarium part, and the same girl was there, and she's like, "Oh, hi again." And he was like, "I didn't ask your name, or I don't remember your name, whatever." And so she was like going around showing him different stuff and trying to find a sea turtle to show him. And then when we left, he's like, "I hope I see you tomorrow," and he like gave her a hug. I know, he just loves people. It's so weird. Yeah, Soren was a total walk-on, so we did that. We took Eli on Living with the Land, which he also hated because it's dark. He doesn't like anything dark. So as soon as we went into the first tunnel, he's like, I don't like this. I don't think I want to ride this. And then, there's like the rain happening, and he's like, it's a storm. I don't like this. And we're like, Eli, it's fine. Like, it's talking about nature and like growing plants or whatever. And he loved the whole rest of the ride, through the actual greenhouse. But then at the end, when you go through the end tunnel, he's like, I don't like this ride. I'm like, okay. And then we got off, and we were like, do you want to ride it again with G-Mom and G-Dad? And he's like, you know how I feel about the dark. So, yeah, I don't know. He's a weird kid. Yeah. Thursday, I had to leave early because that night was when I went with my friend to see Bob Gurr speak, which was amazing.
Super jealous
Bob
about
Gurr,
that one.
yes.
Oh my God, I'm so glad I did it. Brian, you could have come.
I should have.
Yeah, you should have, because it was super cool. He's I guess he's the last living original Imagineer, which I didn't realize. I took a few notes on what he said. He said his favorite project was the fire engine because he actually suggested, Bob knew Ward Kimball, who had a fire engine at home, and he had gotten to drive it once, and he said it was one of those things where, like, you get to do something cool like drive a fire engine, and you'll never have one. So one day he said to Walt, like, we don't have a fire engine. And Walt was like, you know what, you're right. And so a couple hours later, he got a call from accounting, and they were like, here's the number for the new, fire engine project. Walt was just down here. And so he said he was actually the only one to suggest an original attraction that, besides Walt, which was the fire engine. And so he said it was like a very slow, like 2-cylinder engine, which that doesn't really tell me anything, but whatever. And then it only went like 30 miles an hour. And so after it was built, he got to drive it down to Disneyland to himself. Bob did. And he said, like, one of his favorite things is that he was driving it, down this street, and there was a little boy standing in his front yard, and as he drove past, the little boy yelled, Mister, by the time you get there, it will have burned down. Which I thought was pretty funny. And that actually was the last picture of Walt in the park, is, that picture of him with Mickey. When he's sitting in that vehicle, he's actually sitting in the fire engine. And so Bob said that was his favorite project just because there were so many memories associated with it, and that sort of thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I really liked that. And he said his favorite memory of Walt was, he said, when you have a toy that like your friend doesn't have, and you're just like, haha. And so I guess Walt was friends with Nixon. I didn't realize that, but he said his favorite memory of Walt was like that look on Walt's face when Walt showed Nixon the monorail, because like he had a monorail and Nixon didn't. Let's see. His favorite attraction that he did not work on was Pirates. He said it was the last one that Walt directed, and he said it's so cool. I wish I had a little piece in there somewhere. His favorite souvenir that he took from a project was the first Lincoln hip joint. Apparently, it was pretty complicated to get it to work. since it had to carry so much weight and move so much. Since Lincoln had to like rest on one hip and all the other movement took place in the other hip or something. But yeah, he has that hip joint on his coffee table. And he said when Michael Jackson was little, he tried to take it.
Wow.
That's certainly a story.
Yeah. And so it was pretty interesting because somebody asked him, like, you know, Walt was your boss, but did you also view him as like a friend and confidant? And his immediate answer was like, no. So it was very interesting to hear that, like, snap, like, absolutely not. There's a distance between humans. You know, we had a good time, but, you know, we were never going to be buddies. We were not friends. So that was, I mean, I do think that a lot of us, you know, me included, have sort of this idealized vision of Walt sometimes, you know, wherein he was a businessman and he could be like a tough guy. Let's see. Abe Lincoln is Bob's favorite animatronic because Bob originally did like vehicles, right? And something was going wrong with the Abe Lincoln animatronic, and Walt just came and said, Bobby, I need you to make this do have twice the movement and half the weight. And all of a sudden, Bob was in charge of the animatronic, which he had never done before. So I don't know. I think that's interesting, and that's one of those things that, you know, I think doesn't really happen anymore. Is like this: you have no experience and no background in this, but here you go, right? Like, just sort of the heyday.
Just kind of run with it while you can.
Yeah.
Like nowadays, I'm sure they've got everybody working on whatever their specialized area is, you know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They wouldn't go somewhere else and try to grab someone else.
Yeah. I actually asked him, like, is there a project that you worked on that didn't make it into the park? Or, like, you know, what's your favorite project that you worked on that didn't make it into the park? And he said there actually wasn't, in the beginning, there weren't that many projects, you know, that if they realized something wasn't going to work, they didn't go very far on it, you know, and that was at the beginning when they were small. And he said later on, like, as they grew and things became more of a committee and more, you know, corporate, that happened more often. And, you know, somebody who was in charge would just say, oh, we'll work it out, you know, y'all are smart. And he said, what happens if you realize something's not going to work, but you keep going? Rocket rods. And he said, and what happens if you keep going after that? Luigi's tires. So it's like some of the highlights. I don't know. He doesn't have a formal education. It's, you know, so it was just really cool hearing somebody like that talk about Walt. And, like, you know, I mean, not to belabor it, but I think that that's probably part of what's missing now, is that it's not like that. It is so corporate and Imagineering, and, you know, it's just, I don't think it'll ever be sort of that freewheeling. And everything is like that now, you know, like, I think it's very hard, unless you're in a brand new startup and you happen to succeed, to have that kind of atmosphere. And I think that, you know, that we probably lose out on things because of that, both with Disney and, you know, everything else.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was amazing. He signed my book. I got a book about the Disney monorail, and he signed it. And we couldn't take pictures with him specifically, but my friend Allie, my roommate, had another friend who has worked for Imagineering, and she met Bob in 2013, and she had monorail shoes that she had painted herself. She's, like, very artsy, obviously. And so we happened to see her at this thing, and whenever she met Bob in 2013 and he saw her shoes, he thought they were awesome. And she's like, I'll make you a pair, you know. And then she lost his address, so she's had these shoes for him for years. And so she brought them to the event and gave him his monorail shoes. So that was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that was definitely a huge highlight of my trip and like my Disney experiences that I've had in my life. If anybody has any specific questions, ask me. There's probably other stuff that I could remember and a few more things I wrote down. But yeah. And then Friday was the big day, which I'm sad because I don't think it was that big. You know, I don't know if it was COVID or paycheck or a combination of both. It was great to be there. Like, I'm so glad I was there. You could definitely tell there were so many people there on Friday on October 1st who were just like, you know, total Disney lovers and just happy to be like soaking it in, right? Like, it kind of felt like a big club. It was great, but I do wish that there had been like more speeches or like more people, like how Marty Sklar was at Disneyland 65 and just stuff like that. But it was great. And I'm really glad we went. And yeah, 10 years in the making. And next year's Epcot's 40th.
You gotta get back for that one, right?
Yeah, I wish. But I feel like I already talked about the day of on the live, so I don't really know like what else to say. Like, the lines were amazing. Everybody was in line for merchandise and food and not the rides. So yeah, that was pretty great. Enchantment. I loved Enchantment. I don't know if y'all want to hear more about it, if y'all want me to like give spoilers or say like things that I liked about it or what, but I thought it was great.
Heard a lot of mixed things about both of the fireworks, so
I know. And I guess I'm like this is definitely not a spoiler. I guess one of the things that I keep seeing is like there's no mention of like Walt or Mickey, but I guess I was never expecting that, right? Like, I never had this is going to be the 50th anniversary fireworks and a tribute to like the history of Disney. I never expected that. So I wasn't like upset to not see that. Like, I definitely, one of my favorite things about the Castle show they used to do, like the Magic, the Memories in You, is at the end whenever they had Walt on the screen saying, you know, to all who come to this happy place, welcome. Like, it makes me want to cry just thinking about it. But like, I definitely was not expecting that in the slightest. So I think that's one reason that I was not disappointed. And some people were, but I'm like, but that's never been in any of the fireworks shows, you know? And I really do have to wonder if we're going to start seeing a lot more regular changes, because when you think about it, the first fireworks show at Magic Kingdom was Fantasy in the Sky, right? Which ran from 71 to what, like 2003 when Wishes started?
yeah,
So like
about there.
3 decades. And then Wishes ran for like, what, 14 years? And then Happily Ever After ran for 4, you know, and I think that this, like, imagine how hard it must have been in you know, for Fantasy in the Sky just to get the fireworks to match up with the music, you know, and how far technology has progressed to where now it's probably more of like you plan it all on a computer, you set your fireworks up, and then you just kind of let it go. So, and like with the projection, with them having already invested in the projections, you know, I really do wonder, like, is this going to be a thing that starts changing on a more regular basis? Just because it's so much easier to do now, you know, from a technology standpoint. But I thought Enchantment was great. If y'all want me to tell more about it, say it, and I will. Otherwise, I just won't say anything besides I'm a fan.
I haven't had a chance to actually watch the show yet, and I know Brian usually tries to go spoiler free, so I'll wait until I watch it and then we can talk about it. Because I'm gonna watch it like when I get a chance, and I guess
don't watch the Disney stream. I've heard that the other streams are better than the Disney stream. I will say,
so the Disney stream actually went the Disney streams for both that and Harmonious actually went down, so nobody can watch those anymore. But one thing that I keep hearing, and this is super spoiler free, is that I think a lot of the reason people are upset about this show is because it's not the same as Happily Ever After, which I think might be why you love it more. Like, I've heard a lot of people are upset Happily Ever After left, and they're not really giving this show a chance, which is weird because, like, you know, we talked about Wishes leaving, and that was a big thing, and you know, whatever. But I feel like the people that are happy about this show are the ones that aren't mourning Happily Ever After. So I'm curious to see how this show ages. I think that's going to be a huge teller for that.
Yeah, well, and I definitely saw some like things on news sites like fans petition to keep Happily Ever After, but I'm like, literally 4 years ago there were the same petitions to keep Wishes.
Yeah,
You know, like
I mean, it happens every time something changes.
yeah, I mean,
There
so
were petitions about Maelstrom, you know, so that's how you know it's just people getting overly upset.
it's a crazy
Yeah,
concept
so
because it's like, you know, people want to do the whole like the parks aren't a museum thing, but then like, you know, we want to keep around a lot of these rides, and yeah, there would be some that I would be really upset losing, and I'm sure that like, honestly, if the Haunted Mansion ever left, I don't want to speak that into existence, but there would be people chaining themselves to that ride. But things like Maelstrom and a fireworks show, like they're gonna change. They've already changed.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I guess for me, I feel like the message was a lot more on par with the message that I felt from Wishes, and I just didn't feel that same message from Happily Ever After, and I think that's why I like it. You know, is like it's so much more about like finding strength within yourself, you know,
That's
to
nice.
make your dreams come true.
I feel like Happily Ever After didn't have an overall message. It had segments, right? Like that was my thing with it. Was like I liked Wishes because Wishes kind of had segments, but there was like that overarching story with it. And Happily Ever
Yeah.
After, I wasn't like I was a fan of this show, but I definitely see where there's room for that growth.
And I definitely felt like more of a storyline because we watched Enchantment from the Poly Beach, the preview night, like the 30th or whatever. After I met Bob Gurr, we went back and watched it from the Poly Beach. And so I definitely felt like seeing those projections on the castle, and we were pretty close to the castle, so I didn't see them lighting on Main Street. But I assume that you can see similar projections there. But I definitely felt more of like a defined, not necessarily like a set story, but like different emotions that they are trying to convey. You know, with the music, I got it so much better whenever I saw it like close up. I was like, okay, I get it now. Yeah, so.
I mean, Happily Ever After was kind of like that too. I feel like it was nice to be able to watch it from there, but that spot's kind of lost its charm when the show wasn't all about fireworks.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyway. Then, on
Nice.
Saturday, this is the sad ending to my good trip.
Oh no.
My parents had to leave super early, and they rented a car because my dad can't stand waiting on Disney buses. Like, literally, he rents a car and then pays for preferred parking because that's how much he hates waiting on stuff. So we got the first bus to Disney Springs, so we got there at like 10:15, and I was like, all I want is a freaking cookie from Gideon's. I've been waiting, I've known about this place for like 4 years, and like I've never gotten one, whatever. So I got there, and the standby line was already cut off, and the virtual line was already 3 hours long. So I
Wow.
had to leave to catch my flight before my name got called, so I still didn't get a stupid cookie.
I was gonna say I don't think I've ever seen it below 2 hours in the time I've been at Disney Springs. So
I know. I like raced there because I knew it was gonna be long, but I was like, it was like 10:30 and we didn't have to leave until like 1, and I was like, ugh. So it was very sad. If anybody wants to overnight me a cookie from Gideon's, let me know. That's all.
So overall, trip review. I mean, you feel like you got your what you wanted out of being there in the 50th, or was COVID a total killer for it?
Was great. I loved being there with 2 of my roommates. Like, it just kind of felt like old times, you know, back when we were young, and didn't have kids and could stay out till midnight without falling asleep, and you know, like I don't know, it was just it was great, just like sitting on the Poly Beach with them, and yeah, it was good.
Nice.
I will say, room-wise, I prefer Boardwalk, I think, over Grand Floridian Villas, if anybody's curious.
Oh.
I'm trying to talk my dad into Bay Lake sometime in the next year and a half-ish. So if you happen to listen to this, Steve, let me know. You know my number. Send me a text.
I had pictures of our one stay that we did at the 3-bedroom villa because, like, I don't know that any resort that I ever stay at again will be as nice as that.
Yeah. I mean, I love Grand Floridian, and it will help since their rooms are getting a refresh next year, I guess. So that would be nice. But I don't know, the Boardwalk's so relaxing. And there's so many things you can walk to around there. But anyway, yeah, that's all I got.
Nice. Well, I'm glad you had a good trip.
Yep. Next time I can review my stay in the Disney Wish Tower Concierge Suite.
I'm excited to hear your review of that.
Very interesting. Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I'll get right on that.
You got some convincing to do with your dad.
Yeah, I don't think I can talk him into that one. Okay, I'm stopping recording.
Yeah, I think we're going to stop there. Cool. Well, I mean, off the record, I am very glad you enjoyed your trip. I know I had reservations about 50 of stuff, but it sounds like it was an overall good time.
It really was. I mean, the lines, like, I hate to say it because I am a big user of FastPass, and I'll definitely be paying for FastPass or for Genie Plus or whatever, but the lines without FastPass were really good.
Nice.
Oh, I gotta tell y'all a funny story from my experience this weekend too, just real quick. So I met my mom and cousin at the park, and my mom will ride pretty much everything except Tower of Terror. She absolutely loathes drop rides.
What?
She's like, she can't stand it. Like, she just cannot stand drop rides. And so, anyways, we got in line and we got on Rise of the Resistance. So we go through the whole ride, and it was my first time too, but I knew that there was a drop at some point. Well, so we're getting to that point of the ride, and like the ride vehicle locks into the thing. So I'm like, okay, this is obviously where that drop happens. So my mom had no idea it was coming up, and it dropped. And my mom like had a legitimate freak out moment on this ride, because I guess she's like, I thought it was gonna start going up and down again like Tower of Terror. Like, she literally grabbed onto me and was like screaming in the middle of this ride, and I was like, whoa, calm down.
It show's not even that bad too. That's the worst part.
No, I mean, but I guess I knew it was coming, and like, when you get to that part and you like see the other ships like on the screen dropping from around you, like, it was very obvious to me, like, okay, here's where it comes. But I guess if it caught you completely off guard, it would be a bit scary. But yeah, she said she really liked the ride and it was incredible, but she also flipped out, so I don't know.
Would she ride it again, like even with the drop, or does she hate drop rides that
Yeah. No, I think it was just like, I think she had like PTSD from the last time she rode Tower of Terror kick in when it dropped. So
Unfortunate,
Yeah.
but I
Imagine.
can imagine.
Like, literally, if I could get out of bed and feel that feeling every morning, like, I would be the happiest person in the world.
yeah, like me and my cousin rode it, and we literally, were laughing from the moment we got on until we got off. Just because it's like you're laughing because you know it's coming up, and then the drop happens, and then you're screaming, and then you're laughing at each other because you're screaming, like, and then you're out of breath by the time you get off of it. Like it's so good. It's
Have
just a
y'all
great
ever ridden,
experience.
like, I probably said this before, but it's just so good. So I love, like, I don't even know how to explain it, but if you just sit on it and let your body just, like, go limp, and you don't, like, set your feet down and, like, hold on to anything, like, you just totally let yourself be like a rag doll. When you do those drops, it feels so cool. Like,
Oh, I'm
because your
always
arms
like
fly
super
up.
tense.
No, try to just be a rag doll because your arms fly up like naturally, and it really feels like you're weightless. Like I feel like that's probably the closest you get to doing like feeling like how they feel when they take astronauts in the planes to like prepare
Yeah,
or
do the little
whatever.
training ones.
Yeah, like because you just feel like weightless and your arms fly up and like your legs kind of fly up a little bit. Oh, I love it. It's the best feeling in the world. You gotta try it.
I cannot say that I've ever done that.
Well, you gotta try it next time. Just let your body just be a rag doll.
So you were at studios this weekend?
Yes. Like my mom and cousin were there for the 50th, and they did 3 days in the park, and we just met them on the last day at Hollywood Studios.
Gotcha.
So yeah. But I got to do 3 new attractions. I got to do Rise of the Resistance, which I'd never done before, Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy, and the Frozen Ever After sing-along. So a lot of new experiences for me.
The Frozen Ever After sing along is super underrated.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie, I got some legitimate laughs out of that. That was like I didn't know how much extra stuff was gonna be added with the performers, and they really, they made it a unique experience. It wasn't just, 10-year-old girls singing along to Frozen songs. So
I wouldn't mind it so
nice.
much, but everybody that sing, like the kids that sing, like the kids just sing so bad. And it's just like, it doesn't sound good. I don't know.
Like half the point, though.
No,
well, you
it's
just have to
awful.
sing louder than them, Kirsten.
I don't sing well either. That's why I don't do it in public.
So
I'm polite.
maybe it's you and it's not the kids.
No, I don't sing because I realize that it is not polite to.
Wait, so you go to the sing along
And you don't
and
sing.
then you don't sing and you're
No, I've
complaining
been
about
to
the
the sing-along
experience?
once because,
Well,
I don't want to hear children singing badly. So
let me tell you what you're missing out on in the experience, Kirsten. It's the singing along part.
no. Oh, and for all of Eli like saying he hates the dark and he didn't like any rides in the dark, including like living with the land. You know what he says his favorite ride is now? Haunted Mansion.
I mean,
The ghost ride.
Yeah, but we talked to him like the whole time because we knew he was going to be scared, but my parents weren't there and I had to ride it on the 50th, so we didn't have a choice. So we just were like talking to him the whole time. We're like, oh my gosh, look at that dog. Isn't that funny? Like, listen to that ghost host. Aren't they funny? Like, look, somebody's knocking on the doors. So we were really trying to keep him calm.
He did okay on it?
Yeah, he did okay. After he's like, the other day, I was like, what'd you tell your friends about school? He's like, there was a ghost host and he was funny. Okay. So yeah.
I mean, I'm glad he enjoyed it.
Me too. I'm shocked, but I'm like, how do you not like living with the land? Like, how is that scaring you, the big limp?
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.